Hello, friends. Welcome to Common Sense News. My name is Doug Compton, and today I want to talk about the congressional race, specifically my own district. Pretty selfish, I know, but it's pretty interesting what's going on. So, I am part of the local Tea Party organization, which, if you don't remember, the Tea Party started back in the Obama administration, and T stands for Taxed Enough Already. And it was a movement. There were protests, not protests like we see on the left. It was very organized. Nothing was set on fire. There was no violence. They actually picked up their own trash. I'm part of it. I'm the treasurer at our local Tea Party. And we hold events for just whatever, any political candidates that want to speak. And right now we have a Republican uh, representative named Mac Thornberry who is resigning. And now Mac Thornberry is he's been in office for 20, I don't know, since 1995, and he's a swamp creature. I can go into details on that, but he's not a good dude, and so he's resigning. Lo and behold, right? Well, and because of that, we have Lord knows how many people that are trying to take his place, but we host these people at our tea party. And last night we had 9 candidates. One of them, his name was Ronnie Jackson. Now, I've never heard of this guy, but when he had his time to speak, we gave everybody, each person got 10 minutes to speak. And then at the end, we would ask questions. And when he was speaking, he used to work very, very closely with Donald Trump. He was one of his personal doctors. Trump, I guess the president has 3 personal doctors, and he was one of them. He said his office was directly below where the president's bedroom is. And he had just left Washington, D.C. on December 1st of last year in 2019. And he's decided to run for Congress here in District 13 of Texas. And I'll talk about that a little more later. So the last Tea Party meeting we had 8 candidates. And, I liked them all. Obviously, they're all running as a Republican. According to the internet, my district is the most Republican district in the entire country. so, so they're all running as Republicans. I think there might be one person running as a Democrat, and they might get like 2 votes or something. So whoever ends up on the ticket's gonna win. I want to talk about there's someone you probably haven't heard of him, but I see because I live in the district. I see his YouTube ads and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, so this guy's got money. Let's see what he has to offer. Well, it turns out he was endorsed by Mac Thornberry. Now I have a few things to say about that. One, why would he be endorsed by Mac Thorn? Why would Mac Thornberry endorse this guy? And 2, why would this guy accept that endorsement? Kind of makes you wonder, right? We have another race going on here in Texas. And, I'm talking about my own district here, but Texas is really, really, really important. It's one of the biggest states, and boy, would they love to see Texas turn blue. And we have one of our senators, John Cornyn, is a rhino Republican. He is against Trump. He doesn't want the wall. He's a swamp creature. This, that, and the other thing. And we got someone, Dwayne Stovall, running against him. And one other person named Mark Yancey, I believe. I've seen some ads or something like that. And boy, I would love to see Cornyn out of office. And get someone in there that's gonna back Trump and make America great, right? But so this Josh Weingartner guy, he gets up and he's speaking, and he mentioned that he used to work for Cornyn. So not only was he endorsed by Mac Thornberry, but he used to work for Cornyn, John Cornyn. He used to work in his office. And there was this very elderly man that stood up during the question time and was visibly angered at this Josh Weingartner guy, and he asked him. Apparently, this older gentleman is wealthy, and he gave a significant amount of money to the Thornberry campaign, and Mac Thornberry did not deliver on his promises, and so he has every right to be pissed off about that. And when he asked Josh Weingartner why he's endorsed by Mac Thornberry, and he just went on. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was just visibly very angry at this Josh Weingartner guy and why he would accept an endorsement by Thornberry and why Thornberry would even endorse him. Because Thornberry did not deliver on his promises. He's a deep state pig, and that's why he's resigning. And we see that all over the place. And Josh Weingartner, he choked. I don't remember his response exactly, but basically it was just your regular political response, like, oh, look, I'm going to deliver on my promises. I'm going to back Trump. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Just basically political stuff. And, but I don't know. Endorsed by Thornberry, swamp creature. Worked for Cornyn, swamp creature. I don't know. I don't trust this guy. And I see a lot more of his ads than I do anybody else. So he's getting money from somewhere. So I do not trust him at all. Now back to Ronnie Jackson. Now this the room was packed. The room was packed. We had 9 candidates there, and we don't have a big room, so not everybody could get a seat. The room was packed, but I got a front row seat, so I was like right next to this guy, and this guy used to work very closely with the president. There's even YouTube clips of Trump mentioning him and what a great guy he is and stuff like that, and I got to talking with him and stuff like that, and there was tons of press there. Of course, I had to bring up Q, not directly, but indirectly. So I went up to his campaign manager, because after everything was over, everything's going crazy. Everyone wants to talk to all the candidates, right? I mean, you can't get a word in edgewise. You don't know who's who. There's tons of press there. You don't know who you can trust. There's lots of stuff going on. So I talked to the campaign manager and Ronnie Jackson's campaign manager, and I told him, I said, hey, I have one question that I want to ask Ronnie Jackson, and I would like to do it, with not a lot of people listening. And of course, I wasn't gonna just come out and say, hey, is QAnon real? I wasn't gonna, do it like that. The way I worded it was, I asked him, I said, so if the press ever decides to ask Donald Trump the question, what do you think his response is going to be? And he kind of said with a smile on his face, he goes, what question? What are you talking about? And I was like, the question. You know what I'm talking about. He's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, really? I was like, come on, man. Like, you got to know what I'm talking about. And then he's like, no, I really don't. I was like, I kind of whispered under my breath. I was like, I'm talking about QAnon, and he's like, oh, what's that? Tell me about it. Like he wanted me to like tell him about QAnon. Like he's never heard of it, which I don't believe, but it's probably just because he is under very strict orders not to engage in any sort of conversation like that, especially with a stranger, which I fully understand. And we actually had quite a long conversation, just me and him. And he was telling me about how, there's still people in the White House that, that undermine Trump and, try to undo things that he does and stuff like that. And, I almost forgot. But there was one thing that kind of hinted that he knew about Q was one of the candidates spoke out and said how upset that she was that there hasn't been arrests based off of the phony Russia investigation, that there hasn't been any arrests yet. And I said, just loud enough. Now I'm in the front row. I'm literally 3 feet away, 4 feet away from Ronnie Jackson. And I said, just loud enough for him to hear, I said, trust the plan. And he looked right at me and he just kind of smirked. So, he knows. He knows. But I was talking to his campaign manager quite a lot too, and I was wondering, I was like, I'm like, man, this guy's like, I mean, he's practically a celebrity. He worked so closely with Trump. He would win this in a landslide, And all 9 candidates that spoke, I liked all of them, except for Josh Weingartner. It was a lot better than the last time. The last time we had 8 candidates, and there were some of them that were not even able to like get their words out. They weren't good at public speaking. That's politics 101. Is you have to be you got to be good at public speaking. You got to motivate people, You got to get people to trust you. I mean, if you're visibly nervous when you're talking, how are you going to get voted in to the House of Representatives? I mean, you're in the House of Representatives. Any major news organization can call you forth to come on for an interview, and you got to do it. Well, I mean, you probably don't have to do it, but you would want to, because you got to look good for your constituents. And but this election for Senate, for the U.S. Senate, for Cornyn's spot is going to be a tricky one. I've been out campaigning for Dwayne Stovall, trying to get him into Cornyn's spot, because we need to get rid of Cornyn. He's a swamp creature. He's against the wall, and apparently he's good friends with Beto, which, I mean, I don't even know how you could be friends with that guy. He's just weird. There was a lot of press there. Oh, and I actually did an interview with a local news channel here, and I got a lot of good feedback for it, so that was really cool. I'll put the link to that in the description to this, because I can't, I don't want to put up the video for copyright reasons. And then at the very end, one of the reporters comes up to me, and he says he works for the New York Times, and he asked for my name, and he said he had a picture of me and Ronnie Jackson that he wanted to, give to whatever they do, give to his boss or whatever. And he was a New York Times reporter, and so I gave him my name, and I'm just hoping that he didn't overhear the Q stuff. Actually, I kind of am. How awesome would it be if the New York Times put out an article talking about how some guy in Wichita Falls, Texas, is a QAnon right-wing conspiracy theorist, craziness, whatever. I would wear that like a badge of honor. I would share that all over. I would be so proud if that happened. Probably won't though. Ronnie Jackson, obviously once people find out he entered the race late, but once people find out that he works so closely with Trump and he's a Navy veteran. He's not really a politician. He was actually a Navy doctor, and he was one of three of the president's personal doctors. So once people find out, he's gonna win in a freaking landslide. He just entered the race. He entered the race late, so that's why he didn't. He hasn't gotten a whole lot of recognition. But once people find that out, it's gonna be a landslide. Not even close. And I hope and pray that Dwayne Stovall can really give Cornyn a run for his money, because we got to get John Cornyn out of office. And John Cornyn's been running ads, and as an incumbent, if you're running ads, that means that you're probably a little scared of your competition. Early voting started about a week ago, and maybe he's seen some of that, and he's like, "Oh crap, I might, this might be close." I haven't seen a Democrat running for his spot. Beto came out of nowhere because he was a Soros-backed deep state swamp. I mean, he had $100 million in his campaign fund for running for the U.S. Senate out of the state of Texas. He had $100 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for someone who his only experience was he was the mayor of a town of like 10,000 people, and he got recalled in an election because he bankrupted the town because he wanted to build a skate park or something stupid like that. I don't know. But I haven't seen or heard of any Democrats running for Cornyn's spot. But if there is going to be, it's going to be definitely a Soros-backed, someone with a lot of money, because boy, do they want to turn Texas blue. If they could turn Texas blue, that would be devastating for all of us. That would be very, very bad. But yeah, you should check out my interview with the local Channel 3 News. I will put it in the description link. I'll put the link in the description. And of course, like and subscribe, and thank you for listening.